All right, all right. All right, everyone. It is that time. It is that time. Time for another edition of Maryland's Cafe Society Radio right here on the YouTube channel. And how are you on this Tuesday, March 29th, 2022? You know, it's the 88th day of the year. The 88th day of the year. And so it's World Piano Day. Why? Well, because the piano has 88 keys now. Of course, in the background, I have my keyboard. I'm taking some piano lessons. Now the keyboard, oh, it's kind of heavy. But the keyboard only has 61 keys. So a full piano has 88 keys. And so that's why on the 88th day of every year, it's World Piano Day. So one of these days, I'm going to play a tune that I've learned for you guys. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So I'll be sharing that with you. All right. So anyway, how have you been? How's your week been? You know, a lot has gone on since the last show, and it seems like the world is getting crazier and crazier, doesn't it? But it's going to be all right. You just got to believe that. All right. Well, we do have a good show in store for you on this day. We'll be looking at a lot, of course. I'll be highlighting our last woman for Women's History Month, and we'll, of course, talk about the big elephant in the room, what everyone else has been talking about for the last couple of days, and that is, of course, the Oscars and the slap that was seen all around the world. We'll be sharing some information about some relief on the cost of gas that may be coming our way and so much more. So you want to stay right where you are. And that is, of course, right here on this YouTube channel, Maryland's Cafe Society Radio on YouTube. Now let's get right into it with the coronavirus update. And of course, our data is coming from the Johns Hopkins University. And currently, as of about noon today, our COVID-19 cases globally is hovering around, or actually is approximately 482,462,032 cases. In terms of the increase from our report last week, it's around 10 million. So 10 million more people have been infected with the COVID-19 virus. As for the number of deaths that have taken place since our last report, we're now at 6,128,712 cases, up about 31,000 since our report from last Tuesday. And when you think of it globally, that's not a lot, right? So things are slowly getting better. Here in the United States, we confirmed a little more than 79.9 million COVID-19 cases. And of course, the number of deaths are not so bad. I think it increased maybe by 10,000 since our report last week. And that number is now 977,944 cases. So things are improving. China, however, is still experiencing that uptick. They now have about 1.3 million cases and about 12,000 COVID-19 deaths. So, we'll continue to stay protected, do what's comfortable for you, wear your mask, don't wear your mask, social distance, whatever's comfortable for you. But the key thing is to remember to keep our hands washed and do what you need to do to stay protected. All right, looking at some other news here in the United States, of course, big news is that President Biden proposed a $5.8 trillion budget for fiscal year 2023 on Monday. It's a request to Congress that, of course, is reflecting the growing security and economic concerns here at home as well as overseas. Now, billions of that budget will be set aside to invest in police departments along with the military and new taxes on the wealthiest Americans. Now, the Democrats, of course, are praising the proposed budget, particularly the emphasis on reducing costs and the overall vision for the nation, while the Republicans kind of laughed at the proposed tax increases as well as budgetary gimmicks that they call them, that they say would do little to address the deficit and do not adequately address this problem of inflation that we're experiencing right now. So we'll just see what happens with all of that. Meanwhile, some states have decided to give their residents a helping hand at the gas pump. For example, Georgia is suspending its gas tax of 29 cents per gallon through the end of May. Connecticut is also suspending its tax, 25 cents per gallon, until June 30th. Maryland is also suspending their 36.1 cents per gallon tax through mid-April, and the state of Florida will also suspend its 25-cent tax, but not until October, when the tourist season has ended. Oh, I don't mean to laugh. Okay. So the average gas price here in the United States is hovering around $4.24 a gallon, which is about 48% higher than it was just last year. Remember last year we were paying what? Barely $2 a gallon? Man, I miss it. But you know, the humor in it all is last year was, we were imposed with all the restrictions, so we were very limited in the places we could go while the price of gas was so inexpensive. But anyway, a big chunk of the price of gas comes from the state and federal taxes that are imposed, and even sometimes the county taxes. And of course, those taxes are used to pay for the infrastructure projects and highway repair. Now, listen to this. Some of the economists are saying that this could kind of backfire and put the states in a bad situation if they do this. And so they're recommending that the states just send cash cards to their residents. For example, California Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed sending a $400 debit card for vehicle owners in their state. And also, they're going to send cards for free public transportation for 3 months to, kind of get the car drivers to stop driving so much and depend more on public transportation. So those are just some creative things that, some of the states, and of course, California is doing, and other states are also talking about sending those cash debit cards to vehicle owners to kind of help offset some of the prices of some of the costs that they're spending on gas. All right, and then this is a big story, a big story. Of course, we've all heard that Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida has signed that House Bill 1557, which supporters call the Parental Rights and Education Bill, but opponents of this bill call it the Don't Say Gay bill. Now, it has become a national lightning rod in recent weeks, with the legislation addressing specifically how schools can handle instruction on gender and sexuality. And, to some, it constrains that opportunity. So here's, I did some research, and here's what one of the key components of this bill says. In quotes, it says classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through third grade, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Now, to me, it sounds like they're protecting children, K through 3. Why in the world would children that's in kindergarten through third grade be talking about sexuality in the classroom? This kind of reminds me of the 1970s and 80s, when the parents were petitioning the states to limit sex education in the classrooms. Remember that? I vaguely remember it, but I do recall it being a big issue. Parents not wanting the schools to educate or teach or discuss sex in the classroom with their children. And I think this was even at the high school level. And so, in my opinion, I support the LGBTQT community. Um, so I'm not against, their rights. But in my opinion, this bill is not against them. It's protecting the children because we all know that sexual predators put themselves in environments where they can prey on young minds, and we know how impressionable young minds are, from preschool through age 7. And so it sounds like this bill is kind of giving helping parents maintain their rights when it comes to what they want their children exposed to when they go to school. I don't read it as being against the LGBTQ community. I just read it as a way that parents can continue to protect their children from people who may not be, um, you know, for people who may be placing themselves in environments where children are to influence them. You know what I'm trying to say. So, but anyway, they're going to the community is going to um, appeal this new legislation or try to reverse it. But again, I just encourage you to, those who think this is a direct attack against the LGBTQ community, to actually read the bill. I don't know where the Don't Say Gay bill, how it came into play, but it really, in my opinion, sounds like parents' rights. Again, harkening back to the 70s and 80s when the parents didn't want the teachers or anybody in the school environment to talk to their children about sex. They felt like their children should learn about sex at home. So anyway, I digress, and we'll stay on top of this and see how things continue to further to develop. All right, let's go ahead and shift gears and take a look at the stock market report from around noon today. The Dow was up 0.25% to 35,039 points. The S&P 500 was up 0.41% to 4,595 points, and the Nasdaq was also up 0.68% to 15,088 points. The gold dipped a bit, $7.47 to $1,915.68 per ounce, which is still pretty awesome, right? And of course, oil dropped as well, $1.56 to $101.94 per barrel. All right, you ready to get into the big talk of the last couple of days? Of course, we're talking about the Oscars and what happened on Sunday, and everyone has chimed in on the Chris Rock and Will Smith incident. Of course, we know that Chris Rock was on stage to present the award for the best documentary, but spent a minute or two beforehand just kind of breaking the ice and doing a little monologue, by making jokes of some of the attendees who were sitting in the audience near the stage. And, so he kind of started poking fun at Will and Jada Smith, and eventually specifically honed in on Jada's shaved head, by making a reference to the G.I. Jane movie too, and that all led to Will Smith taking a stand and walking up on the stage and slapping him during the live broadcast. And of course, everybody was freaked out, even the people in the audience. And my reaction at home was like, woohoo, what just happened? Your eyes buck and then you're blinking, trying to unsee what had just taken place. And I'm like, no, 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 no. This just did not happen. And, I likened it to, I don't know Will Smith personally, neither do I know Chris Rock, but I enjoy the personality that they present to the world as entertainers, and kind of liken them to watching your two favorite cousins get into it, right? And not just in a private setting, but in front of the whole world. And so, I couldn't believe that it happened. And so I considered later, after, you process everything and everybody kind of gets over the initial shock, I considered the fact that Chris Rock was a comedian, and how he could not have been coming from a place of malice, I didn't think, when he made the joke against, or toward Jada Pinkett Smith. However, um, I also thought about the fact that how you should never really joke about someone who is suffering. Now I know things have changed since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s, when comedians, they just had a free for all, and what they could joke about, things they could say, because everybody understood that it was comedy and that they weren't really attacking people or coming from a place of malice. But things have changed in the last 15 years or so. And so, there's a level of sensitivity now that a lot of comedians have been taking. And so I feel like he should not have ever joked about a woman who has suffered hair loss, from um, you know, a sense of them, maybe dealing with some kind of health issue, because you just never know, why a woman shaved her head. It could be because of chemo treatments and she's losing her hair, or in the case of Jada, it's alopecia or some kind of hair loss, a medical problem. And anybody who knows women, our hair is our everything. For as long as we knew who we were in life, we've had our hair. And so when you start to lose it, it's it's a you go through a mourning process. And so from what I've understood, Jada has been kind of public about what she's been experiencing. And um it's a painful thing to lose your hair, but she looks beautiful with her shaved head, by the way. But anyway, I think Chris should not have gone there, making a joke about her hair. And um you could see the the hurt, that came across her face, because initially she and Will were kind of smiling because they thought that he was going to say something lighthearted and maybe positive, but he said that. But anyway, um, and of course, Will Smith, I think after seeing her reaction, felt that he had to do something. And I tried to rationalize what he did, because I've not wholeheartedly followed his journey in the last year or so. But he released a book back in the fall about his childhood, and a documentary as well. And he shared publicly a childhood trauma that he saw happen between his parents, and how he had feelings of guilt for not being able to, or for not even trying to protect his mother. And so, I kind of thought about all of the psychology that was happening there. And then, of course, he played this role of this strong father who protected his family, King Richard. And I'm sure in preparing for the role, he learned a lot about the man and the family, and and probably did some comparisons, and how he is with his family and how King Richard was or is with his family, and thought, maybe he just needed to do something to defend Jada. But of course, we know that it was terribly wrong, what he did with Chris Rock. Um, and then I had some conversations with friends and associates about it, and I started to think a little bit deeper about it on a different level, and that whole concept of a man defending his woman type thing, and I thought, okay, yeah, yeah, he was willing to put it all on the line to defend his wife on national TV before the whole world. um, and and even thinking about it from being a black woman, he was a black man defending a black woman in such a public way, because sadly we know that women in general, and black women particularly, can be mistreated, considered fodder to be dismissed, discredited, devalued. Um, and so there was Will Smith showing that this black woman was worth the fight, was worth defending, and how we all are as women are worthy to be held in high esteem in the most public way. And so I was like, yeah, yeah, that's it. That's what it was. That's the meaning. And there's so many different uh points of view and perspectives and spins that we could take on what happened, and even lessons to be learned. I wish that it had never happened. I truly do. I wish that the incident had never happened, but it has. And so, um, yeah, here we all are. Here we all are, uh, you know, at, with a distraction, because we know that there's a lot of things happening in the world, but it all kind of ties together when we think about what Putin has done, to the folks in Ukraine, right? He's violently attacked them, and so I think if we all just pause for a minute and take a deep breath, this is a teachable moment. What happened at the Oscars between Will Smith and Chris Rock is a teachable moment. When you think, when you've been in the classroom, or even as a parent, and when you see children behave that way, you admonish them and you hit their hands, right? So anyway, um, like I said, Chris Rock was on the stage to present the Best Documentary, and Questlove won in that category for Best Documentary with his film Summer of Soul. So congratulations to him. And Dune walked away with what? Six awards? Six awards that night. And there were so many other groundbreaking historical moments that took place that night during the Oscars. The show was produced for the first time by African American production team. So it was all good except for that little part. So anyway, there was a report that came out that said the viewership rose 56% from last year, but preliminary data still shows that the telecast is still on track to be the second least watched Academy Awards show in the history of the show, but definitely a big jump in the increase since we've been in the pandemic. Um, and then lastly, I should add before I wrap this story up, that Will Smith posted overnight on his Instagram account an apology to Chris Rock. Part of it read, "My behavior at last night's Academy Awards was unacceptable and inexcusable." And what else can you say after that? Now, we've also learned that the Academy has condemned Smith's actions and announced that it's going to be issuing or starting some kind of formal review. But yeah, whew, that's a lot. That's a lot. But we must move on. We really must move on. All right. So, There's another award show that's going to be taking place this coming weekend. The 40th annual Chicago Music Awards show will take place on Saturday, April 2nd, 6 p.m. Central Daytime at the Congress Plaza Hotel and Convention Center. They're located at 520 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, Illinois. And the hosts will be Chicago's top media personalities, Art Norman, Beyonce Fox, and Big Easy. Now you can go to chicagomusicawards.org for ticket information and more to see who the lineup of performers are and all of that. All right. All right. And finally, before we wrap up this segment, I do want to send condolences out to the family of Purvis Spann. Now, he, along with his family, along with his radio family at WVON Radio, its parent company, Midwest Broadcasting Corporation, celebrated his life last Wednesday. Of course, his funeral service aired live on WVON Radio, 1690 AM, and on VON TV, VON TV, VON TV. Many dignitaries paid special tribute to him, including Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton. And, you know, Purvis Spann was known as the Blues Man. He was part of WVON Radio from the beginning, back in the 60s when Chess Records owned it. And then later in life, he purchased the radio station and became the owner himself. He passed away on March the 14th after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. And again, sincere condolences to Melody Spann and the entire Spann family. All right, everybody. I think that's it. Oh, we do have one more thing. One more thing. Of course, it's Women's History Month, and we have been celebrating and spotlighting women. And so, before we go today, I do want to spotlight Madeline Albright, who was the first female United States Secretary of State. She passed away last week. She was 84 years old, and she was considered a world-class leader. And of course, many are saying that she left behind several lessons for women and business executives to glean. One of the lessons being leaders can rise above their humble beginnings. Yeah, because you know her story. She had humble beginnings. And of course, another lesson is leaders raise the next generation of leaders, as she did. She had what? 10, 20, 30 women that she mentored, not only in government, but if, you know, in business. Another lesson is to have a value system. You know, if you don't have a value system, that saying, if you um, don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So you must have a value system. She also left a lesson of how to use your experience as an advantage. You know, we all get experience in life for a reason, you know, and hopefully experience brings about a certain level of wisdom that we can use to our advantage. And lastly, I'll just say this one, and that is to don't take yourself too seriously in life, right? That was her lesson. Don't take yourself too seriously. Listen, life can be crazy, as we all know, and we just can't take things too seriously or ourselves too seriously in business and life, in our relationships. So those are just some top lessons that women as well as business executives can learn from the life of Madeline Albright. And of course, condolences and prayers go out to her family and friends as well. All right, so let's go ahead and just review our word for the month one last time before we wrap, and that is, of course, paladin. Paladin, which is an advocate, a defender, or hero of a noble cause. And let's just make sure we kind of add it into our conversations as we move about our lives this month and, you know, for the rest of our lives. All right. Remember to go to Maryland'sCafeSociety.com and check it out. See what's happening. You can connect with me on the social media from there as well as the blog. I blogged a couple of weeks ago for the month of March, you know, encouraging people to get into the spring vibe and to, you know, put a little hint of green in your life for this month and all that it means. And I decided to kind of leave it there for a few weeks. But I may be blogging this week. I'm not quite sure, but I may be blogging. So make sure that you check out the blog as well. And again, shout out to everybody who's checking out the YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And remember to sign up for the emails, Maryland's Cafe Society at yahoo.com. You get those Monday emails just to get you going for the week and send a little inspiration to you. All right. And then, of course, what is our love is for this particular show? Our love is to apologize and to forgive. Love is to apologize and to forgive. All right, everybody. That's all I got for this day, for this show. I just want to remind you, if you don't do anything else in life, be sure that you live, you laugh, and you love. as always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to hang out. And I will see you on the next show. How about that? Peace, everybody. Have a great rest of the week.